And good afternoon, and welcome to season 5, episode 29 of the Leaders Only show and podcast. I am Samaj, and my brother Kendall is on the road out of town today, taking care of the little ones. So we're going to knock this show off today, just sending him some positive spirits while he watches this. We're brought to you by What a Change Mentoring and Tone Drone. Today, we will be discussing a topic of one of our followers sent us and asked us to unpack, and that is inside the hidden private schools where billionaire kids are taught. So please invite your friends to check out the Leaders Only show, have a watch party, subscribe to our channel, share it, like it, hit the bell and comment because you know how this algorithm thing goes. And if you're watching after the live stream, then we just ask that you put hashtag replay in the comments and just let us know that you are here. I'm in great spirits today. It's a little chilly, on our side today for it to be May. We're about to hit June, and it's a little bit chilly, but in great spirits to be here. Blessed to be here to give you a great show. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's definitely time to raise awareness about mental health. We reduce the stigma and promote support individuals and families affected by mental health conditions. Mental Health Awareness Month is a national observance founded by Mental Health America in 1945. The theme of 2025 is Turn Awareness into Action, encouraging active support and advocacy for mental health inside the hidden private schools where billionaire kids are taught. Let's jump into this story right now. For proper context, these elite schools do teach math and other regular subjects, but they mostly focus on leadership, global connections, and elite culture and soft power. Wow. Let's watch this video and come right back.
They learn how to control governments. Welcome to the Hidden Billionaire Classroom. 150K a year, no grades, no algebra. They study influence engineering, crisis manipulation, and dynasty strategy. While your kid is solving for X, their kid is negotiating backroom deals. Tutors, ex-CEOs, classrooms, strategy war rooms. Final project, launching a startup with a 10-mailer seed. The goal, graduate with power.
Wow. So these schools, they teach dynasty strategy while your kids are solving for X. Their kid is mastering how to control governments. Their setup is 50 plus elite schools globally, and you won't find them on Google Maps. Here are some of the real institutions: Eton College, Harrow School, Westminster School, Wycombe Abbey, Institut Les Roses, this is in Switzerland, Lyceum Alpinum Zeus, that's in Switzerland as well. The first three were in the UK. Phillips Exeter Academy, Phillips Academy Andover, Deerfield Academy, the Lawrence School, École Janine Manuel, that's in France. The last three were in the USA. And United World Colleges, UWC, which is global. The tuition is $150K plus per year. The curriculum, influencing engineer, family office mechanics, crisis manipulation. This isn't education, it's power grooming. What they learn: year 1 through 3, diplomatic negotiation, how to spot a weak leader, investment structuring via trust, security protocol in hostile regions, no grades, no lectures, just real life simulations run by ex-diplomats and ex-CIA agents. Social Engineering 101. They're trained to control a room without talking, build networks across royalty, VCs, and dynasties, spot psychological weakness. It's not about tests, it's about becoming undeniable. So my thoughts on that are a plus and a minus. You know what I mean? You have your pros and your cons. Me personally, I believe that we should have schools structured around things that are going to matter when we become adults. A lot of things that I'm sure that a lot of us can attest to, but I'll speak for myself. We've learned and we don't typically use them in our everyday life. And then the things that we need to know in our everyday life, we don't have those skills because we were learning things that were, to me, keeping us uh, busy in order for that time. So you have a window. Most of the time you enter school 4 to 5 years old, whether you go to pre-K or just kindergarten. And then that lasts most times till you 17, 18 years old. So there's 13, 14, let's say 13 to 15 years that you're learning, but also your time is controlled. So they know where you'll be and they know the information that you will take in for 15 years uh, or less, but we'll say 12 to 15 years. You know what I mean? So within that time, you're learning everything they're teaching you. So they have your controlled time and they have the controlled knowledge. So if they don't want you to know how to balance a checkbook, if they don't want you to know how to create financial uh, if they don't want you to know financial literacy but create and generate wealth without thinking you have to work work until you're 65, then that's what they're going to withhold from you. So schools like this, although there's a hefty price tag on it, it's in specific to who it's designed for. So I don't really see a problem with that. If you have the need, I mean, the means to, get it done, and that's what you want your child to be when they're grown. If you want them to be in the government, you want them to be power players in the government. And I'm pretty sure a lot of this has to do with bloodline, you know what I mean? So they have to, be able to know how to run whatever agenda is being pushed, whatever side they're on, but how the whole landscape works. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is, we don't have those options. They're, and I'm not going to say that they don't exist. What I'm going to say is they're not often accessible, or they're priced out of what our parents can afford because of, one, whether it be how much they make. That could be two, the broken home, so it's broken finances. Three, it could be just that our habits, you know what I mean? We weren't taught the best habits. We weren't taught, the best financial literacy. So we are the biggest consumers. So a lot of times we may not have the right structure and the right budget to get this done. And the initial reaction is, man, I'm not paying that much for that. And that's not in my budget, or you out of your mind. You're not going there. You're going to public school. So where public school fails us, parents do have to pick up. And it shouldn't just be one parent, it shouldn't just be two parents, it should be the village. This is why it's imperative that where you drop your kids off are sufficient places where they're going to be safe, they're going to be nurtured, they're going to be cared for, but they're going to learn. They can, learn how to read, they can learn how to run a business, they can just get some skills, learn how to garden, learn how to farm, learn how to fish, learn how to hunt, whatever it may be. Young ladies learn how to maintain a household, learn how to, clean, learn how to cook. All these things are skills that I feel like children should be learning anyway. There should be a curriculum where it's not mainly focused on A's and B's, because the majority of big business owners and entrepreneurs, moguls, or whatever have you, the numbers, you have to look at the numbers. You know what I mean? It says it. The majority of them are people who didn't get A's and B's, and they weren't summa cum laude and stuff. That stuff is a system. It's based on a system. And who's to say, just because I'm not feeling that system or the way that system is being taught, that doesn't make me dumb. So I feel like it plays to the child's strength. And in the long run, they'll have confidence, because knowing, being able to trust yourself and knowing what you're talking about, having the skill set on what you're talking about, and what you're trying to do, shortening the gap from so many diversified, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, then I want to be a fireman, then I want to be an ice cream tester, then I want to be, you can literally, structure your child's life, give them some opportunity to gravitate what's in that field of what they offer at that school, but opposed to, like the young girl twerking and doing the boots on the ground. You can start off learning about assets and liabilities. You can start off with learning about how to read an income statement and a balance sheet. um, Tons of things. So I'm not opposed to this. I think it's to each his own. um, I do think that it kind of sucks because the system hasn't been in our favor for the longest. You know what I mean, with certain things. So for them to just it's kind of like they just groom you. You know what I mean, and you gotta have the money in the bloodline to get through there. But they start early. But I think we could learn things from that, where we could start our young men and our young women early. You know what I mean? We can give them skills early that will influence and help them later, opposed to just skills, just fight, or just giving them a tablet or putting them in front of TV, or them just catching on to what we're doing. And if we're not doing things that are conducive to a child, in their future, then it just going to be, what we've seen, a dysfunctional, anxious, maybe ADHD, bad eating habits leading to failure of certain organs and things like that. So we have to be better examples, and we have to create more programs and schools of our own that doesn't have to be the biggest. It doesn't have to cover 10 acres of land. It could start in barbershops like they used to. It could start in event spaces, but with all the knowledge that we've But with all the knowledge that we've accrued and gained over time, I just feel like, that we can do this, you know what I mean? And we can start small. They already have their system put together, so we can create our own system. All in all, I tip my hat to parents who are out of the at least the box of thinking that you just have to do it this way. You know what I'm saying? You don't. You can, guide your child's and mold their future. With that being said, I would love to hear what you think about it in the comments. So definitely comment, give us some feedback. But I think it's clear to see that children are impressionable, and the things that you learn early will help mold you later. Be it if you learn how to, be in the streets, we glorify those type of stories, and selling drugs, or being, knowing all the words to certain songs that aren't for you. And then you have some kids that read, and they go on to be, powerful employees. But then you have young children, who are being molded to be power figures in the world, from the time they're born until the time that they're adults. So it definitely matters. I pray that we, tapped into that story and just opened up some eyes for you out there, my brother Ahmad. Thank you for sending that story over. And for everybody watching, man, don't be afraid. Send us over some stories so we can just bring it to light, so we can show the difference. You know what I mean? Because most of us, we have went through the traditional public school cycle in sector, and then we have a few that go through private school. But again, it's all teaching you how to be a better employee. You know what I mean? Not more so have the powerful things that you need to stay healthy, to create wealth, to communicate with other cultures and other languages, to break down language barriers. You know what I mean? Because finance a lot of times break down language barriers. Culture, diving into someone's culture, food, art, music. It breaks the culture, but a lot of times we're not learning abroad, so they're keeping us boxed in. So break that box, you know what I mean? Somehow, some way, even if you keep your children in public school, this is why programs and seminars and just, getting more knowledge, conferences, YouTube, the stuff that you learning now as an adult, that's beneficial. Because if you're learning it your first time around now, which a lot of us are, then it's great to learn right with your child. That way they don't have to wait till they're older. We want to continue in our break, to encourage you to be the best you, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. We want you to eat right, sleep right, meditate. We want you to tap in with Mother Nature and the higher power. We also want you to make better decisions. We need to, begin to put more assets in the assets column. We need to be wise with our decision making, so we can, pass on and create wealth. You know what I mean? So be mindful of that. Also, be mindful that it's Mental Health Awareness Month. I believe it should be every month and it should be every day. Give yourself a mental health check. Check your circle. Make sure everybody's up to par. Also, do some uh, inventory of those you keep around you, of the things that you're doing to make sure you're still on course to where you're trying to get to, that you're focusing on your purpose. If suicide comes by your mind, or you hear it or think that it may be on somebody else's mind, remember we do have a hotline and an emergency number, and that is 988. You can call it, you can text. Do not hesitate if you're struggling. You do not have to say who you are. It can be anonymous, or you can go full throttle and get that help that you need. I support it either way. We just want to let you know that your mental health matters, and that comes before everything in anybody. So keep that in mind. Don't sit here. Don't sit in your sadness. Don't sit in your depression. Face it and get help facing it, so you can come out and you don't have to continue to sit there. Up next, we do have our all white commercial. So check this out, and we pray to see you August 31st.
And old. It's been a minute, man, but we're back and we've got a whole lot to celebrate. The All White is making its grand return for its 20-year anniversary, and trust us, we got a venue that's pretty much bigger than ever. We're not just bringing the tradition back and restoring the legacy, we're elevating it. This year, it's more about the party, the legacy, giving back, and celebrating greatness. We're honoring you and our brothers, Kevin Talley and Terrell Whitehead, for their induction into the Spartan Football Hall of Fame, launching scholarships for future Spartans, and we'll be supporting the Green Run High School football team. Oh, and did we mention I'm in full character because we've got a dope comic book series tied into this event. The storytelling, the energy, the memories, the impact, it's all coming together. We're bringing it back home to Norfolk, where it all started. It's going down Labor Day weekend, so that's your answer. Sunday, August 31st, 2025. Mark your calendars. Go ahead and get the shopping. Go ahead and spread the word. Tell a friend to tell a friend, because this is an invite-only event. So be on the lookout for that exclusive link to get yours. Stay locked in.
And yes, we do pray to see you August 31st. Do remember theallwhite.com. It's up now. You must have an invitation to get in the event. We will not be selling anything at the door. You can get you a comic book, a poster, or a bundle package, and that will grant you access to get your invitation. So we pray to see you there. Labor Day weekend. We've been covering, if you're just joining us, we've been covering the hidden stories or the hidden information behind the billionaire private school, sector. And we're going to go into some more ways that they run their school. So for final projects, they're not essays, but launching a startup with $10 million seed money, structuring a deal with the government, hosting an off-record summit with three billionaires. The goal: to graduate with power and not a diploma. Now, let's just stay there for a second. The goal: to graduate with power, not a diploma. That in itself is why I'm not opposed to it. We and when I say we, I mean the copper color people. I don't like to make it a color thing, but then I also can make it a economical thing. So those copper color people and those of other races and ethnicities that are in America, that meet the poverty line or middle class and just below, you know, um, oftentimes we graduate and we celebrate, for instance, like prom. We go and that's a highlight. Then graduation is a highlight, right? But there's no extra, because prom is coming or because graduation is coming. Your job doesn't give you a bonus. It doesn't raise your salary because of this. So oftentimes you take on a second job. Oftentimes you work, and we trade our time for dollars, right? That we can never get back once we spend it. So oftentimes we go out now. It's become a really big thing because social media has played a tremendous part in our display of how we're sending our children off, right? But oftentimes we don't send them off with power. We send them off with memories. We send them off with experiences that normally fade, because in their mind and in our times, things are moving so fast that once that's last week or last month, it's over. You know what I mean? And you have to go back to work, and your wife may have to go back to work, or however it's set up. But here, they're grooming their child to graduate with power. It's not overboard for just specific moments. You know what I mean? Because they realize that, okay, once the prom is over and graduation is over, you must move on. You must move on. You know what I mean? Then you're gonna have to go to college and stuff, or whatever you choose. But most times in our 20s, we plan behind the eight ball because we have to get out at 18, and we don't have the right experience, knowledge, or finance to compete in this world. You know what I mean? Um, and that's important, because again, we've been clapped for, and people have made us feel good, but they have not gave us the proper foundation and set us up with the right structure, that every year over the next 10 years, the next 15 years, the next 20 years, I'll have the right knowledge to be healthy. I'll have the right finance to be wealthy. I'll have the right principles. I'll have the right morals, ethics, values, and I'll be set up in the right quadrant. So I've been reading the cash flow quadrant, and it's broken down into four sectors. And I'm sure, because reading this write up on this story, it reminds me of that book. You have the employee on the left, and you have the self-employed on the left, and then on the right side of the quadrant, you have the big business or business owners, and you have investors. And I believe that to graduate with power gives you confidence, but it also, the reason why you have that power and that confidence, because what you've been taught has given you an edge over the majority who's learning to take orders from you. So I see that, and what they're going to do is they're going to work together, or they're going to build these relationships and stuff like that, and they're going to work for high salaries, but they're also going to have businesses, and they'll be able to invest. You know what I mean? And this will come at an early age because they've built a strong network by going to school together in this prominent school, which is like a hidden thing. It's like a secret society in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to continue to grow, but you'll know that when you pick up the phone or when you send over an email, it wouldn't be foreign to this type of person who learned like you. Most of the time, it's foreign to our people, and we miss out. I use just the reference between interest and equity. You know what I mean? Just something small before we move forward. But if I was to say 3%, you get 3% equity in a company, right? And we'll say Google, and it's the first year. We don't know, but you can get 3% equity, or you could have gave $25,000, same 25,000. So you could have invested $25,000 and been a 3% equity owner, or you can invest 25,000 and you could have got 30% interest on your $25,000, right? Most of us, with the ignorance of the way that they teach us, because the 30 is bigger than the 3, but there's powers in the words. That 30% interest is only $7,500. That 3% equity is ownership. So as the company grows, you get 3% of whatever the company grosses each year, after whatever numbers got to be broken down, the nets and all that. But you are a part of this company, and it's more than once. You know what I mean? They could take your 25,000, set up an arrangement, say give you money back in 3 years. That 3 years, 30% was like 7,500. Here you go. Here's 32,500. You can make that. Maybe by now, you got companies like, Google or Uber or Lyft, where you have somebody like Gary Vee saying that I missed out on that opportunity just because I didn't get my friends $25,000 because I didn't invest, and he would have been a partner. So stuff like that, that's what I see that it's saying. And it's same thing, they don't have to be groomed to be powerful government players, but just imagine taking your 4-year-old from the time she's 4 years old, or a group of 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and along with what they're learning on the basics, they're learning how to grow food, let's just say garden, let's just say farm. You know, they say they grew up on a farm, or you have access to take them to a farm daily. Then you have access, to teach them economics, and then you have access to teach them herbs. You know, you got access to teach them, proper dieting and nutrition, just everything. Then they have legacy insurance. You know, why do billionaires send their kids here? To protect family wealth from collapses. That's major. That's stating the problem so they know. You know what I mean? I worked this hard to get this wealth. I'm not letting it pass over. We got to protect this. So only way we can protect this is to practice. So protect wealth from collapse, to build heirs, not influencers, to ensure the name stays relevant 100 years later. These kids aren't next gen. They're future kings. Again, I find it mighty strange that this is where you have to go to get that, because that should be the norm, But, uh, I always reference it back to when you've been conquered and you still are, whether the chains are off your body, they're on your mind, they're in the paperwork, they're in the structuring of a system, on what they teach you, on what they feed you, on how everything is controlled. So you stay inferior. This right here is saying, nah, I worked my butt off. We worked our butts off. This last name, a lot of us, again, we don't value the last name, and in meaning the way that we act, being serious about our decision making. You wouldn't do that because the person before you didn't value it in that capacity. Most times when we value our name, it's because one, either somebody made it to the league or something, or they were popular in the streets in the name or what they did on a social level. This is straight up, nah, your Hiltons, your Walmarts, your Johnson and Johnsons. Not saying they're great companies. I don't have a dog in the fight. It's all good. What I'm saying is these are not just brands. They're not just businesses that are thought of and created with a logo. These are last names. That's important. Another thing, you can look this up for yourself, but look at the percentages and how long our wealth, how many generations our wealth lasts when we get our wealth. Just look it up for yourself. But just look it up for yourself. It doesn't last long enough. That's a big problem. That's why we don't have sufficient amounts of wealth. You know what I mean? Because it lasts too short of a time. For instance, when major companies come in and buy up all the old property because they want to gentrify it and redevelop it, most of the time it's not the person who bought the property, right? It's not grandmom or great grandmom or the parent. Right now they wait, and now it's to the grandchild, it's to the child, and they never had a lump sum of money like that. So to them, hey, I'll sell Nana's house or mommy's house or daddy's house or grandfather's house because it's all profit for me. It's all profit for me. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I don't have the emotional attachment to it. I don't have the blood, the sweat, the tears of what they did before me. This right here, I feel, is what we have to do when you create that wealth. You have to protect it. You have to put it in writing, but you have to also teach these young children the terms, why it's in the trust. You know what I mean? Why we're doing this, why you can't just take the money, or when you get the company, why you have a board. Teach them that. And this is how you'll build future kings and queens. This is how you build not kids of the next generation or influencers. You're really building substantial, powerful young men and young women. You know what I mean? Not just boasting about your child because they're a great child when you're around or to you. No, this is assuring that because they have the proper skill set. You know what I mean? And again, it's all about, we don't have to just learn what they're learning. I feel like, again, what you feel is substantial to our growth, the things that we didn't get. The blueprint inside their school walls, tutors equals ex-CEO. So you're learning from people who actually did it. Another thing that's major, because a lot of times we're learning from the book and somebody who was taught how to be a teacher, but not per se that is skilled in the things that they're teaching, or they're not teaching something that we're interested in, which is ownership. We are interested in owning. We've been working for a long time. Classrooms equal strategy war rooms. Getting out of that institutionalized feeling, that matters, because how I feel, grade schools that we go to, public schools we go to, set us up for prison. Just the way I see it, just one thought that ran through my mind. You don't have to feel that way, but it's getting us structured to feel that way, having us in open environments. I believe if you take a kid to anywhere, you can take them to the park and they'll learn more, than just sitting in a classroom. Grades are irrelevant because that's true in school. I mean, that's true in the real world. You don't walk around with your GPA attached to your forehead. Again, that's a system, and it making you feel less than if you don't hit the mark. You could be a genius. If you graduate, you're given direct access to private equity pools. Come on, man. We just mentioned that word, equity, political insiders, and generational wealth roadmaps. It's easy to get somewhere when you have a GPS. I just mentioned that when we're 18, we're thrown out there. You don't even have a map. We don't even have a traditional map. But it's so much easier when you have wealth roadmaps. You have GPS. You have people who did it before you. Somebody to say, yo, don't step right there. There's a time bomb right there. It's ticking. Don't step right there. Go this way. It's safe over here. Do this. Have you heard of mutual funds? Have you heard of Roth RA accounts? Are you covered insured? Let me teach you about these auctions that they have, tax certificates, just things that you can do with your money besides buying sneakers or wasting it on Uber Eats or stuff that we do, just being, conforming to society and having them directed for us. But when you have somebody older and somebody polished that can teach you, and especially if you're getting it for 7, 8 hours a day for 15, 14, 13 years, boom, here it is. It's going to make you get to your destination not only faster, but safer. You can put your seatbelt on. You can take your time and adjust the radio. You can make sure the AC or the heat is working. The tire pressure is good. We do have brake pads. We do have rotors. If we do get into an accident, we have insurance. That's like that for a person's life. You know what I'm saying? Opposed to us, it might not have no insurance. Tags might not be good. We praying and hoping that we're gonna get there. You know what I mean? Let's pray and hope you get there. And when you get it, you're burnt out. You're depressed. Might be isolated. You're away from everybody because they still learning whatever we were being taught on a traditional level. So it's keeping us in a pool that doesn't reek of success. It reeks a pool of dysfunction. It reeks of a pool of lack. You know what I mean? This is why now they're expressing the black fatigue. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff, again, no dog in the fight, man. I just feel like if we first fix the stuff that you can, you know what I mean? We know that the system is not for us. We know that they have stuff like this that keep us disconnected because they have options and they have, but we have to do better to pull where we can't afford it with finance. We can make up for it in resources. We can make up for it with pulling together and just teaching. Every last one of us should still be students. And when you become, experienced enough in whatever, then you are a teacher. You know what I'm saying? So all in all, again, I don't think it's wrong at all. What I do think is wrong is how there is a divide. You know what I mean? That there is an option, but you have to have that finance, and it's just not the norm. I feel like this should be the norm, but then that should show you why and what society's agenda is. It's for a small number of people, the minority, who's really the minority, to run the majority. I mean, it reflects. It's like 98, 99% that are not the elite, and it's 1 to 2% that are elite or wealthy or however you want to look at it. But the majority is being ran by this group of people because of the lack of knowledge, the lack of discipline, the lack of obedience, and just that structure. It's easy. It's easy to pass a test when you have a cheat sheet. You know what I mean? We have to stop clapping for just that struggle story. It should start getting easier per generation. You know, the struggle story should have been my grandfather or my great grandfather. By the time it gets to me, I should be 4 generations in of reaping knowledge, finance, healthy habits, spiritual connection and information, how to do that. Just everything. I should have 4 generations of that, opposed to we still trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So all in all, I tip my hat and I just pray that we can learn from it and do our own thing, you know, and that's no color. That's anybody who wants to get better, you know what I mean? Who's tired of being walked on and know that your cry is just not going to be it. Did you learn? What were you willing to do? Were you willing to sacrifice? Were you willing to homeschool? Were you willing to, okay, send them to school, but you're going to learn this and we're going to do this together, not just football, not just basketball, baseball, whatever, not just violin or music. No, no, no. You're gonna learn some skills, you know, that are gonna help you run your household one day, to upkeep what I'm leaving you one day. It's important. Next story, man. Atlanta rapper shares why he can forgive his father for not being present in his life. Let's watch this clip, and we'll come right back with our thoughts.
Like, if my daddy had to go through half of the shit I go through right now, like, to be in my kids' life, like me trying to be a good father and me like doing like my absolute best that I can. Like, if my daddy had to go through what I went through, like, I ain't even mad at the nigga for leaving me, bro. I ain't even gonna care. I ain't saying it right, but boy, I'm not mad at the nigga for tearing out, boy. I ain't even gonna cap, but this shit be, boy, this shit, boy, listen, boy. This shit had you weak, boy. This shit had you fucked up, boy. This shit had you can't function, can't even focus, boy. These folk put so much wear and tear on you just to be in your children's life or do the right thing just because they personal emotion. Like, boy, this shit deep, boy. I'm not mad. Hey, my daddy see this video, my nigga, you can call me, boy. If you went through this, boy, you can call me, boy. I ain't even mad at you, boy. We can fix our relationship, bro. Cause boy, it probably wasn't you, boy. And I love my mama to death, but boy, it probably wasn't you, boy. If you went through this, boy, I apologize for how I treated you when you came around, boy. My bad. God damn. Real, like.
Man, and we're back, man. So I was adamant about showing that story, right? Because it wasn't more so about how he said it, or just in particular, just having a baby mother that's putting you through it. But I think it's important, right? Because you can do two things when you get older, right? You can continue to grow up, or you could just get older. I felt like in that situation, life experiences once we got older, which a lot of us are starting to see that our parents were doing their best. You know what I'm saying? As you get older, you see that, man, maybe my dad, maybe it wasn't just my dad. You know, not even a maybe, because it is true, but maybe it just wasn't my dad, because maybe they were both young, unhealed, didn't have the emotional intelligence to communicate correctly and effectively, also to go get help to keep the family together. You know what I'm saying? This is something that I went through, you know, and I'm willing to be honest because I needed to get past it. A lot of people haven't gotten past, you know, daddy issues or mommy issues, and it's not a good enough excuse to justify ignorance or bad behavior or your depression or your sadness. You're not supposed to sit in it. So because life continues to roll, I can't tell you what to do. So I'm gonna speak on me. This is how I was talking to myself. I just knew I needed to express how I felt, right? And I was able to talk to him. You know, we always talked on the phone, you know, especially when I became in my 30s, you know. But I needed this situation. So my father had a stroke, you know what I'm saying, and it knocked him down. And I looked at it as an opportunity. One, yeah. So that humility, you know, it literally it humbles you, but it forces you to do two things. You can either do it with an attitude, or you could begin to realize why you have an attitude, cry it out, breathe, take a walk, get help, talk to somebody, but don't run from it no more. Don't suppress it no more. speak to your father, let him know, man, those days it hurt, you know what I mean? Not being able to have you there. See, for me, it hurt in those ways, but I did have, men in my life, but it hurt more as the young adult, the ambitious adult, the entrepreneur adult, the one that have ideas, and you got to go outside of your home to try to prove to people and get them to believe in your vision where your parents, they believe more than anybody, or they should, you know what I mean? So you just want them there, especially now, that you're an adult and you get faced with decisions and choices you have to make. But you get their absence, because again, it goes back to what was you doing at 30? My mom had me when she was 18. My dad was in his 20s, What were you doing at 20s? What was you doing? And you weren't equipped for that. You're going to have plenty of arguments, fights, domestic situations, whatever it may be. Just fighting yourself internally. Uh, a lot of us are still doing it. We're not able to press pause on the world. Might have to miss that function, might have to miss that gathering, might have to miss for years, you know what I'm saying, to get first my mind right, my body right, my spirit right, then get out of debt, you know what I'm saying? Get on the financial track that making better financial decisions, being disciplined with the financial income being brought in and what's going out and budgeting. So where somebody didn't teach you, you're going to have a time where you get frustrated because now you're trying to learn it and apply it. And there are no cheat codes. You still have to learn it. But like the man said in the video, let's have a phone call. Let's have a conversation. I forgive you because it wasn't all your fault. Simple as that. Some of us, it may be deeper. Some of us may be waiting, for that, for our fathers, to just answer our call, or our mothers, or whatever. Um, don't give up. Don't give up. And when the opportunity presents itself, um, settle it. But beyond not giving it up and settling it, if you're waiting, don't sit and soak. Heal. Heal. Go ahead. Keep life going because life gonna go regardless. I'm just saying that in terms of holding yourself back from being the great person that you are. It's not your fault. You know what I mean? It was their fault. And their fault wasn't 100% their fault because it's been passed on. So I just say with watching that video and then experiencing it myself, it would definitely, Lil Donald, I definitely salute him for even wanting that connection now. And two, I salute him just for seeing it, because a lot of times we see stuff and we won't adjust. I appreciate him recognizing it, because at some point you have to grow up. Everybody's not hating on you or everybody's not opposed or against you because they're trying to tell you, yo, we got to tighten up. What you doing is not right. Or we're going to be in these dysfunctional relationships. We're going to be in the courthouse, going through it because somebody doesn't have emotional control or emotional intelligence and they're using the child as a weapon. We love our mothers, we love our fathers. Um, but a lot of times their single parenting is coming from their lack of emotional intelligence and emotional control with the wherewithal to heal completely, not just what feels good on certain days, just heal completely so we can still be a family. It didn't work out, still be family because it's going to affect the child, whether it affects them in their emotions or it just affects them with knowledge, finances, and the wherewithal to navigate this world without it being so much against them. I feel like the world perspective shifts when your perspective shifts. So your world shifts based on what you were taught and then what you either going to break away from, because if you were taught wrong you got to break out of it and then you have to go receive the right teachings and then apply it. So kudos to everybody, trying to mend those situations. Kudos to everybody just trying to heal to be better and not being hung up on it, for so long as far as putting it away and suppressing it, but willing to fight to come out on the other side better for themselves, more at peace in your own head, because that's where it matters the most. People may not know why, and they may not be able to put it all together, but it matters what battle you're fighting inside of yourself. So if you can get out of the fighting yourself, you can get to the peace, happiness, joy, the serenity, and just that relief. Might not be the best friend, might not become the best relationship you ever had, but at least the relationship with yourself has gotten better because you can be relieved. Relieve yourself of that anguish, relieve yourself of that anger, relieve yourself of that hurt. There will be new hurt, there will be new, times when you may get angry, but now it lasts way less. Oh, I'm angry. Oh, let me get that off me. Oh, I'm sad. Oh, let me get that off me. Let me experience it. All right, let me get that off me. So that it doesn't carry for days, weeks, months, years. In closing, this is the Leaders Only digital show and podcast, live streamed each and every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We appreciate you joining us for season 5, episode 29. 29. We hope you enjoyed the show today, and we look forward to you joining us next week. Let us know your interests, and we'll bring it to you with no problem. Send over a topic, send over the story, send over the event, and we'll jump right on it. As you can see, we're brought to you by What a Change Mentoring, Inc. and Tone Drone. I am Samaj, filling in and standing in for my brother, Kendall. Ran a dolo today, man, but y'all have fun out there. Be safe on that road. And thank you for being in the comments today, man, and having your presence here. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, comment. You can also email us at leadersonly22gmail.com. We are waiting for you because we would love to hear from you and see what's on your mind. See you next week, same time. It's been a blessing. Definitely love y'all. And before we peace out, remember, all information to get in touch is scrolling at the bottom. If you need anything in the holistic health field, if you need any gear, if you need moving, meal prep, anything, it's all been scrolling at the bottom of our prompter this whole time. Within that, peace and love, man. Have a great week.